Hi, it's Tom from Leicester Fan TV. What did you think of the game? Now it's my turn.
Hi, Tom from Leicester Fan TV here. I just thought I'd do my review of, our defeat to Newcastle yesterday. Try and look at the game, where it all went wrong, and look ahead, obviously, to the bigger game now. Obviously, going into the game, I think major concerns was our midfield. You know, the loss of Samari through suspension, the loss of a Diddy through injury, after the way they played against West Ham and then Brighton. I was quite optimistic we could do something with those two. But again, losing two players in such a crucial position and then replacing them with, Hamza Chowdhury, so in my opinion, he's a Premiership quality, and Oliver Skip, who has barely played for Leicester that much this year. So very hard to judge him on what he's done. But obviously, I don't think Hamza's up to the challenge in the Premier League, in my view. You know, obviously he kept the team quite similar to what he's done for West Ham, to the Brighton game. Kept McAtee on the right. He brought Mavididi onto the left, Vardy up front. Obviously, the back line picked itself because, as much as I think most would say now, JJ's had enough. We haven't got another person who can play right back at the moment. And, you know, if Ricardo was fit, Ricardo probably would be playing there. But at the moment, we've only got JJ, and still the goals keep coming on down his side and from his positions. And it was a frustrating afternoon. I think you could probably hear that in my voice. I was frustrated for most of that game. I thought the first 10 minutes we played pretty well. We looked quite rigid at the back. Structure was there, and yeah, we had a couple of attacks, nothing really threatening to Newcastle goal. But I didn't feel like we were concerned. And then from the 10-minute mark on for the rest of the game, it was all Newcastle really. I mean, the pressure just kept coming and coming and coming. You know, Matt Hermson once again pulls off an absolute blinding save in the first 15, 20 minutes, tips one over the crossbar. You think it's going in. As far as I was concerned, it was going to hit the net from where I could see, you know, and then you carry on. And then you can see from such a sloppy corner, you know, not in sloppy of Newcastle, it's a great, well worked corner from them. But for me, it's poor defending. You can't have a man of Jacob Murphy's quality standing on the edge of the area. Someone has to mark him. You can't mark all those bodies in the box and not have someone marking the edge of the area. You know, it's a little 1-2 into the box, pulls back, and Jacob Murphy's 5 foot it into the bottom corner. Newcastle then had a host of chances. It was just chance after chance. Again, Mads made a couple of good saves. Big Dan Burn was causing us all sort of problem in the box, and that's never really got to grip with anything from set pieces really yesterday. Half-time comes and you're thinking, well, a bit like the Brighton game, you know, we're 1-0 down, but we're not out the game. We're in the game. We've still got plenty to play for. Ruvan is trying to make some tweaks, change something on there, you know, to try and get us to move up the pitch higher, but also to try and use the ball better, because that was something we didn't do in the first half. We did not move that ball quick enough. And when we did have the ball, we were very sloppy at it. And I'm just read on my screen that Wolves have sacked Gary O'Neill. Oh, marvellous before we play them next week. I've literally just popped up on my screen, just what I wanted to read. I was hoping they'd keep until next week, but hey. Yeah, obviously, Mads is injured, has to go off, and on comes Danny Ward. And I think everybody feels the same. Look, Danny Ward was brilliant against Walsall, penalty save, but that's a League Two team. It's the Premier League. Danny Ward is not a Premier League goalkeeper by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm not going to sit and slate Danny Ward for the 4 goals going in. The other 3 goals that went in were all down to defensive and midfield errors and how we set up as a team. Barely anything. Danny Ward can do anything for any 3 goals that went in past him. But I do say, I think him coming on the pitch, the confidence probably just doesn't feel right in the stands, and he probably isn't feeling right on the pitch that he comes on. Obviously, you're thinking, right, well, he's coming on, let's get going again. And what was it? 2 minutes in second half, a chip into the far post, headed back across the goal, and there's Isaac to head it in. And you're thinking, that's why Bruno to head it in. You're just sitting there thinking, seriously, boys, all we could have done, you know, keep it tight. No. Within another 2 minutes, we're another goal behind. And again, Ball comes in the box, ricochets off Cody's knee straight into Isaac, who heads into the back of the net. 3-0 game over. You're thinking damn limitation now. Again, 5 minutes later, Leicester lose possession in the middle of the park. Very quick transition, and the ball falls to Murphy at the Bucks post for his second goal of the game. He slams it through the under the legs of Danny Ward. And again, like I said, Danny Ward couldn't do anything for any of the goals. What has Ruud van Nistelrooy got to learn from this game? Because after 3 games, I think most of us sitting here quite happy with 4 points from 3 games. I'm definitely happy with that because I looked at the fixtures and I thought if we can get 3 points from the 9, it's be a good return. 4 points is even better than I thought because I didn't see us getting much against Brighton or Newcastle. The West Ham game was the big game for me at home, and I said if we can win that, that'd be a big one. What's he learned? Well, he's learned that basically we need to reinforce in January our midfield options when you haven't got Harry Winks, Sumari, and Diddy is very, very weak in middle of the park. He also needs to strengthen in the fullback position because Christian yesterday ball watching a couple of times got caught out, but Justin's confidence is completely gone, and he looks the shadow of the player he was 3 or 4 years ago. That was on international, getting called up for international duty and stuff like that. I know he's had his injuries, and I think that's affected him a little bit, but at the moment in time, we haven't got another option, and he's having to play on low on confidence. It doesn't do any player any good. You know, if I was honest, I thought Mavididi was very disappointing yesterday. When he did get the ball, you're expecting him to run at his man, take him on. Just very, very static. He didn't do much when he got the ball. And some were saying, is that Van Nistelrooy? It might be. I don't know. But he didn't do enough for me to say, right, he should be starting against him. For me, next week, the lineup's going to be very similar depending on who's available. Obviously, Sumari comes back into it. Maybe Winks might be back as well. We need a bit more creativity in there. And I know some will say that we played in Dini and Samar, there's no creativity, but that back line, having them 2 in front of our back four made a massive difference in the last 2 games. So blocking shots and getting out, Sumari running up the pitch 10, 20 yards makes a massive difference when you have the ball. Obviously, for me, El Canoes, Buonanotte, both should start against Wolves next week. We've got to take the game. As I just said, it's just broke now, literally a minute ago, that Wolves have sat their manager, Gary O'Neill. I was hoping it'd still be in charge. I thought yesterday they could have got a draw, that he might have been in charge going into our game. We all know what it's like if they get a new manager through the door, that bounds. But I don't know, after seeing all their fighting on the pitch, it might be they're in a complete rut, worse than we were at the time. Like I say, I'm not going to sit here and slate much. It's happened. It's a 4-0 defeat. But I've seen enough out the 3 games still to believe that we can stay in the Premier League and believe that we still got enough in the players to stay up and enough in Van Nistelrooy. There is a difference in this team. Yes, it was a bad day at the office yesterday. We're going to have them during the season. There's still going to be more games like this we're talking about after we lose 4-0 to teams who are higher up the league. And Newcastle are in a false position. Let's not get it wrong. Newcastle, people say, yes, they had injuries. But when they can still bring on Harvey Barnes and all that kind of attacking talent in the second half, they might have injuries, but they've still got a top 6 squad, top 8 squad. And where they were yesterday, 14th before the start of the season, is a false position in my view for them. Like I say, us staying in the league is not going to be about us winning at St James's Park. Us staying in the league is going to be beating the teams around us: Everton, West Ham, Southampton, Ipswich. Your Wolves, teams like that, picking points at home to your Brentfords. Trying to get points in those kind of teams is going to be things. That's where we're going to be. If we're going to stop, we've got to do it. And look, it isn't nice to lose a game we did yesterday, and it feels a bit disappointing after 2, pretty good results against West Ham and Brighton. But I'm still very optimistic that we can stay up with Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge, more than I would have said about 3 games ago with Cooper in charge. So, look, long way to go still. Lots of up and down. Massive 6-pointer now against Wolves next Sunday, 2 o'clock at home. That is a must-win game for me now. We can't lose that game. It has to be a win. You win that, you pull further away from them. And I think that Van Nistelrooy will drill it into them this week. They need to win this game, and he expects a better performance. But like I say, we've got to get through another 3-4 games, and then we can look at January and look at players be able to sign and strengthen this squad. And I think with Van Nistelrooy, we'll be able to sign some half-decent players because his name will bring players to the football club. I like I always say, drop your comments in. Let me know your thoughts on the game. I'll reply to everyone as normal. Hope you all have a great Sunday, and I'll speak to you all soon. Cheers.
City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms. For exclusive extra shows, behind the scenes, competitions and podcasts, subscribe to Leicester Fan TV today on Patreon.